Hi guys, and welcome back to Movies That Matter with The Viking. Now, I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan, I really am. I've seen all of his films, well, except for two. So I wanted to fill my filmography of Quentin Tarantino films that I've watched by watching Jackie Brown and Death Proof. So I sat down to watch Jackie Brown, and I was expecting gore, violence, blood, all the theatrical stuff that you would expect from a Quentin Tarantino film, because basing off of Reservoir Dogs, his first film, and then going into Pulp Fiction, look, a lot of those elements were in those too. So I sat down and watched Jackie Brown, and that's the opposite of what I got. I got a very, not simple, but simple going plot with interesting characters, of course, with amazing dialogue, of course, but the story was more grounded. There's actually hardly any action in this film. It's all suspense, it's all betrayal, it's all you kind of on the edge of your seat. And the music and the score is a big part in that also. And the score from this film, the music from this film, was only put in last minute. Instead of Quentin Tarantino hiring someone to make a score for him and tell him that this is the score for your movie, he just used an old soundtrack from an older movie and used the score from that. And it worked out in the end. The music in this film, the score, is what builds the tension. And it's what makes for a fascinating watch. The music is absolutely brilliant. But Jackie Brown, for me, was a big surprise. An enjoyable surprise from Quentin Tarantino. The cast, like any Quentin Tarantino film, is amazing. It stars Samuel L. Jackson, Robert De Niro, Michael Keaton, Pam Grier. And also Chris Tucker makes an appearance there briefly as well. So that's an amazing cast already. Samuel L. Jackson has worked with Quentin Tarantino many times. Robert De Niro, arguably one of the best of all time. And Pam Grier, at the time, she wasn't as popular as she was back in the 80s. And maybe even a bit near the end of the 70s. So this was kind of a role for her to make her kind of comeback per se. And it was to show that she was still a star. And she steals this film. She's absolutely amazing. The film also stars the late Robert Forster. Now, you might know Robert from Breaking Bad and the El Camino film, but of course he's been in numerous films throughout the years. But Quentin Tarantino likes casting actors who aren't as popular as they once were, or over time have kind of lost their popularity of starring in big movies. And that's not because they're bad actors. No, they're actually fascinating actors, but in some capacity along the line, they don't get the roles that they used to or that they probably should. And there's so many actors in Hollywood now that don't get the films that you think that they should get because they're talented, better than most, and they work hard. But maybe it's got to do with politics and things like that. Those actors don't always get the work. But I love what Quentin Tarantino, he does that. He did the same with John Travolta. He kind of brought his career back again in Pulp Fiction. He makes stars, and he makes stars come back, and that's what I love about Quentin Tarantino films. But Jackie Brown, what's it about? A middle-aged stewardess, Jackie Brown, smuggles money from Mexico to Los Angeles for the arms dealer Ordell Robbie. When she gets caught by the agents Ray Nicolette and Mark Dargis with $10,000 and cocaine in her purse, they propose a deal to her to help them to arrest Ordeal in exchange of her freedom. Meanwhile, Ordeal asks the 56-year-old Max Cherry, who runs a bail-bound business, to release Jackie Brown with the intentions of eliminating her. Jackie suspects of Ordeal's intentions and plots a complicated confidence game with Max to steal $500,000 from Ordell. And look, that plot is actually brilliant. It's actually so well done. And this film is based off a book called Rum Punch that Quentin Tarantino used the book for. He changed the main character from white to black, changed their last name, changed the setting, changed a little few things like that. But it's still kind of true enough to the book, but also Quentin Tarantino brings his dialogue into it and he fleshes things out a little bit more than the book has done. Tarantino adds longer dialogue like he always does in all of his films, and it works. It suits the characters and the way that they act. It suits the characters from the book, and they're depicted very well on the screen, but the dialogue that Quentin Tarantino adds into it is perfect, and it matches between the two very, very well. And that's something that Quentin Tarantino is beautiful at doing, is getting his characters saying great dialogue that gets you engaged as an audience. And this film, without all its guns and blazing and blood and all that stuff that's known for Quentin Tarantino films, I think he does a great job of really gathering your attention by wanting to listen to what the characters say. He doesn't fill up any gaps in this film with mad violence or blood, which it works. And this is probably Quentin Tarantino's most grounded film. It's his most simplest film in terms of it's about these characters. And Pam Grier's character, Jackie Brown, makes an unbelievable scheme. She's playing everybody off of each other because she knows she's backed up into a corner. And it's not like throughout the film you're like, oh, she can do anything. She is so confident that she can get through any situation. Not really. Now, Jackie Brown in the film does have some times of hesitation, sometimes of fear that things could go wrong, but she always holds her face when talking to Michael Keaton's character, who's one of the FBI agents, or talking to Samuel L. Jackson, who's this kind of gangster per se. Pam Grier absolutely steals this film. She is the best part, the best performance in this film. The dialogue, the performance, just the way everything plays out with the story, the plot of kind of fooling the FBI agents, fooling Samuel L. Jackson's character, her and Robert Forster's character working together, making this big scheme, and it in a way, it's a perfect film. It's one of Quentin Tarantino's best films. Now, for me, Django Unchained, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are up there as his best filmmaking exploits. But Jackie Brown, for me, doesn't get talked about enough. It's underrated. The score, the music, it all just fits perfectly. And it makes me want to see Quentin Tarantino tackle films like this. More simpler films. Now, I read some interviews, listened to interviews that he didn't really like doing something that was based off something else. He liked doing his own work. So maybe that's why he's gone away from those things. Maybe he doesn't have a book or something or some material to ground him down and make him say, look, I can't put violence here or there because it doesn't fit the story that's being told. I can't make a big bloodbath scene here because it would seem out of place. And for all the love we have for Quentin Tarantino, maybe at times he goes a little bit over the top with his blood and gore. But I'm a big fan of that also. But I think if he was to work off a material like Jackie Brown, someone else's material, where he adds his dialogue, he fleshes it out more, he changes different things in it, then he could make an unbelievable film. Jackie Brown is underrated, it's not talked about enough, but I would love to see. It's the type of film a director would make or an actor would do when their career isn't what it used to be anymore. It's like their comeback film. That's what it seems like. It seems like this is Quentin Tarantino's comeback film, even though it's his third film at that time. But maybe as the years go on, he'll do something similar to what Jackie Brown, and I'll be all for it, and I absolutely will want to watch that. The film also has some very beautiful shots with cinematography, and the way that Tarantino lines up a shot, even at the opening shot of Pam Grier, she's walking through the airport, and she's on one of those kind of escalators that move along the ground, and the music is playing, the background is bright, it just engages you straight away, and that was actually really well done. Now, the budget for this film wasn't that high, it was 12 million, and it made 74 million, so that's pretty good going right there. So, like, if you take away if you were to add the violence and more gun battles or something like that into the film, then that budget would have been a little bit higher. But maybe the budget and him basing his ideas off the book, it grounded him down and made him more of a realistic film. But guys, let me know, have you ever seen Jackie Brown? Are you a big Quentin Tarantino fan? If you have seen Jackie Brown, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Do you think it's underrated? Do you agree with that? I think it is. I think it's not talked about enough, and it's one of Quentin Tarantino's simplest but best films. Guys, give it a like, comment, subscribe. Come follow me on all the social medias if you're listening on Instagram or Facebook or on YouTube. Give me some feedback. Come and engage. That's what we love doing. Until next time, guys, Quentin Tarantino is a filmmaking genius.